All right, guys, we're in the shop. I'm wiring up a PS310 to head out the door. Figured this would be a great time to talk to you a little bit about motors and how to wire a motor up, how to know what motor you need to order or anything like that. I'm going to try to cover as much as I can, but obviously at the end of this, if you have questions, I missed something, give us a comment, we'll make another video. So let's dive right into it. So the first thing I'm going to be looking at when I'm looking at getting a new, like if I want to order a motor or I need to look at information of my motor, is the motor nameplate. Now this is a Baldor Reliance Super E motor. We carry these here at Kleen-Rite. We also carry a bunch of other brands, but some of the important statistics of the motor are included on this, and these are the things we need to look at when ordering a new motor or wiring a motor up. So what horsepower is the motor? That tells us how strong the motor is. What voltage is the motor? This motor is a 230/460. When we get into the wiring portion of this, I'll explain that. The amperage, the RPM or the rotations per minute, and then the frame size. The frame size is going to tell us how this thing actually gets mounted and its overall fit. So if you're working in a tight spot, you already have mounts, like you're replacing the motor and you're trying to get it to fit a certain mounting point, you want to make sure that you know that frame number so that you can reorder the same frame number so we know that that motor will fit your application. And then the phase. This is a 3-phase motor, like I said. So let's talk about phase here for a second. Three-phase or single phase is referring to the electric supplied to the motor itself. 3-phase is going to have 3 power leads turning this motor. Single phase power is going to have 2 power leads that turn this motor. And that is just indicative on the power coming from your main panel, supplying your contactor through the contactor to the motor. We do not want to wire up a 2-phase motor with 3-phase. We will damage that motor. And vice versa. We do not want to wire 2-phase to a 3-phase motor. You can kind of get away with it a little bit. It won't do as much damage, but it's really not good for the windings and the magnets inside this motor. So moving on from that, let's jump into wiring. Again, it's a 3-phase motor. We're going to wire this for low voltage. On this data plate, low voltage is 230. Most of you guys out there are going to have 230 3-phase supplying all of your equipment. That's pretty much the standard for an older car wash. If it's not a brand new build, you're probably going to have that 230 3-phase. So let's look at how we're going to wire that up. The second data plate we need to look at is this low voltage, high voltage plate. That's where that 230/460 comes into play. Obviously 230 is less than 460, so we're going to be looking at low voltage. So we're going to follow this data plate on how we're going to wire the motor leads and then how we're going to wire our power leads to the motor, or supply power to the motor. So all motors come with motor leads. Motor leads are the wires that come from the inside of the motor out, and we're going to need to wire that according to this data plate. So you can see at the top there it says 6, 5, and 4, and those are all interconnected. So I'm going to go through this bundle of wires. Each wire is numbered, and I'm going to pick out 6, 5, and 4. They are color coded as well, but the color coding does not always carry from brand to brand. So it's better that we go through, pick the numbers out, and wire them like that. So I have 5 and I have 4 in my hand. I have 6 in my hand, and now I have 5 in my hand. So I'm going to pull those 3 out. I'm going to join the 3 stripped ends together. I like to give them a little twist to start it off. And then I'm gonna take my wire nut, slide that over, and you can see I backed my hand off a little bit. I'm gonna give about 1 inch to 1.5 inch gap there, and I'm gonna begin to turn that wire nut on. And what I wanna do is I wanna tighten this wire nut down till those wires start to twist together. And that's just gonna help me ensure that that stays grouped, number one, and number two, that that wire nut is on there tight enough, holding all three of them together. I'm gonna hop to now that we have the inside lead connected, we're gonna look at hooking up our incoming power. So my first line voltage in is 9 and 3, and that's gonna get joined with my one of my power wires coming to the motor. So that's 9 and 3. Here's a 9. Here's a 3. So I have 9 and 3 motor leads. And then I'm going to take my supplied power lead, and I'm going to join all three of those up together. Again, I'm going to get that twist started. I'm going to grab my wire nut, slide my hand back a little bit, and get that twisting until all three of them start to twist together. We're going to jump to the next one. The next leg is 8 and 2. Two, 8, rinse and repeat. I'm going to pull those out. I'm going to get my next supply lead, match all them up, get them twisted and started, then get a wire nut started. Slide my hand back, get them going, get them twisting up, get that pair together. Okay. Last one. So there's only 2 wires left. You could assume that that's going to be 7 and 1, like it's listed on our nameplate here. I always double check 7, 1. That just tells me that I have the rest of the groups correct as well. There's nothing wrong with double checking yourself. I'm going to group them up, get them twisted, and then get my wire nut started. Get all them twisting together like that. All right, now that we have all of our leads together, we have our motor leads tied the way they need to be, the next thing we want to check is I'm going to flip each one of these over, and I want to make sure I don't have any bare wire sticking out of any of these wire nuts. Which I don't. We twisted them nice and tight. Everything's captured inside that wire nut. That's going to let us know that there's no way our leads can arc off of the pecker head of the motor. So that's wiring up a low voltage side of a low high voltage 3-phase Baldor motor. We carry these in stock. We carry a bunch of other brands. If you guys are having any issues with motors, motor starters, or anything else at your car wash, give us a call. We'll get you fixed up.
Kleen-Rite.